72 Radio, the voice, views, and visions of the collective.
Okay, hello everyone.
Hello.
Welcome.
Good morning.
Healthy you. My name is Rebecca Taylor Shaw, and I am a clinical hypnotherapist here in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm with Len Young and Dr. Stela Susac-Pavic, and we are your hosts today. Our topic is springtime, and I love this topic. I love that we're in April, the second quarter of the year. The time has changed, and so many people really shift on various levels when we reach this time of year. One of the things that I hear people talking about is once the time changed has shifted, a lot of people's energy shifts. Many people that I know actually suffer from something called seasonal affective disorder. Some people call that SAD, SAD for short. And seasonal affective disorder is a type of depression that is seasonal for people. This might include a depressed mood, of course, a lack of energy, overeating, and just a general malaise. So hopefully those of you who do suffer from that are feeling some relief now that the time has changed. When I actually lived in Washington, D.C., I suffered from this, and then when I moved to California where the days were sunnier and I could be outdoors more, that really made a big difference for me. So if you do have some lagging kind of feelings of malaise, sadness, depression, for those of you living in the warmer areas, I highly recommend if you come home from work or before work to get out and just get out in the fresh air and do at least a half-hour walk where you can be out in nature. And there's actually even a technique called sun gazing where you're not really looking into the sun, but you're gazing with your eyes averted, but you're letting the sunlight hit you. And when I heard about this, I really perked up because my previous chiropractor used to position his orchids so that they would get the very first light of day, that when the sun comes right over the horizon. And he said there's something really special about that light. And he had the most amazing orchids I've ever seen in his front window, Dr. Michael LaBelle. He's retired now, but so there is something to the sun. The plants obviously respond to it, and many people do as well. So that's just a little tip there. Get out in the sun if you can. Keep your sunscreen on, but early morning and late in the afternoon is a great time to start getting back into the warmer weather. And the other really interesting thing to me about spring, I don't know how many of you feel this, but I'm always really feeling it's time to purge, to clean out my closets, to clean out drawers and spaces. And so with that, my latest news article, I actually wrote about this, and I was going to share some things that I found that were pretty interesting. One of the things I discovered when I was doing some research on spring cleaning was that the mystics from all the prominent cultures in the world had a similar 3-point formula for success. And the first one they call purification, second is illumination, and third is union. So purification, again, cleaning the body to clear the mind. And I don't know how many of you have noticed that when you clear your space, your desk, closet, you might notice you have more energy. So decluttering can really renew your energy. I know people who sleep better. I know people who clear their energy to attract love and money. And so it's definitely a concept that many cultures around the world are believe in, and there's a whole kind of space clearing in the Far East that's called feng shui. And people actually will hire a feng shui specialist to come in and look at the energy of a building before they purchase a commercial building. And something else that I found really interesting is that the concept of space clearing is so prominent in Bali that the citizens practice clearing the entire island on a daily basis. How cool is that? And so they believe, the Balinese believe, that they've been able, with this space clearing, this energy clearing daily, to minimize crime and really maintain the spiritual essence of the island in spite of the fact that they've had this explosion in tourism.
Wow.
So I don't know how many of you have been to Bali. That's on my bucket list, but everyone who goes there, they talk about the energy of the place and the energy of the people. So there must be something to that. And you know, oppositely, have you ever been into a space where someone has just had an argument? We feel strong emotions that are present or embedded in places. So what I suggest, I was just going to share a few tips today. Again, if you're interested, you can email me. I've got this actually written up, but clearing your clutter, clearing books, clearing clothing, donate things. One of my favorite tips for ladies is, if every time you buy something, get rid of something in your closet. So if I buy a new dress, I go through my closet and get rid of a dress. And we all know that we wear the same favorites over and over again. And then there's those others that might be really pretty or cute, but we just never pick them. So I always, if I buy a new pair of shoes, I try to get rid of a pair of shoes. And then I just feel like I'm keeping the flow going. I'm keeping the flow going in my life. And so that's my hot tip for you shoppers. And then the other thing I would highly recommend is going through items that are emotionally charged for you in a negative way. Are you still holding on to your ex-wife's dishes or photos or something like that? Donate those items. Donate things. I'm working with a client right now who's living with someone, and it's all the ex-wife's bedroom furniture, and she's really, really affected by that. And so if you're affected by those types of things, definitely consider, it may seem kind of woo-woo, but so many people really feel a difference when they start changing out and doing some clearing like that. So I recommend chunking your time to do it. So if you're like, ugh, I don't want to do cleaning, play your favorite music and just say, okay, I'm going to do this for 15 minutes, just 15 minutes. I'm going to see how far I can get through. So chunk your time, because it's much easier to work in those short increments. Something else I will do, because I love listening to podcasts and podcasts through YouTube. I subscribe to YouTube Red, so I don't have to do the commercials. I highly recommend it for $10 a month, so worth it. And then what I do is I will play something that I want to listen to, or a book on tape or something like that, while I'm doing this type of closet cleaning or clearing and that kind of thing. So I find it, it's easier to do those kinds of things if I'm also listening to something that stimulates my mind. For those of you who can multitask, some people can't do that, but yeah, so that would be another suggestion, is do it while you're also stimulating your mind.
Multitasking is overrated.
What's that, Stella?
Multitasking is overrated. I think
Well,
that's the first shift in the spring that we need to do.
well, yeah, so I will segue into Stella or Len. Are you going next?
Yeah, so yeah, I'll just actually jump in here because I was doing some research too, Rebecca, and I came upon the same sort of subjects throughout the things I was reading. But just in my thinking about it, I think about what is going on around me. And we look at bears who hibernate. They go into caves, they go around wherever they are to sleep through the winter. And as mammals, we do too. We have that feeling. We tend to stay at home. If it's cold, we stay inside, we're warm. And when the sun comes out and it shifts, after the equinox, it shifts. All of a sudden, the sun is coming higher in the sky for us. It feeds us, and it feeds us skin, it feeds our minds. We come out of hibernation, and there are things that we do. So I know for one, last weekend, my brother happened to point out that this really nice tree in the front of the house was dead. Now, I have been replacing a lot of things because of our storms and our floods, and I just hadn't even looked up at this tree. It's a wonderful little tree, but it's dead. And so now I had to get somebody to come, and little by little, we're taking this tree down. I'm doing rituals around this tree. It makes me sad because the tree's been here for 50 or 60 years, but it's not going to grow anymore. So we're taking it down, and it's actually a real symbol of death and rebirth, of now what am I going to put in there that's going to be pretty in front of the house and is going to be able to stand salt water if it comes down the street again, and things like that are a new way of looking at planting and growing things, which is what the spring is about as well. So I wanted to just remind everyone it's a time to hydrate, to be in the sun like you suggested, Rebecca, because I think that's our D3. Dr. Pavic, you can tell us about that too, but we naturally, as humans, need sun, and we don't want to burn, and we want to take care of our skins, and you can tell at least two of us are really light-skinned, and I have to always wear sunscreen. But being in the sun does give me life. I feel enlivened when I'm out in it. Just walking, if you can just walk around your blocks and give yourselves a chance to be out there for 10 minutes and then drink water. And I've heard recently that it's wise to have electrolytes in our water and feed our bodies with more than just the water that we are drinking from our spigots or that we're buying. So I would suggest that. There are a number of things that start to happen in the spring. We all start to think about the beach or going on hikes in the mountains. And if we've overeaten during Christmas or during the winter and not been out exercising a lot, we start to exercise and we start to change our eating habits. And so I would say, look at that. I'm sure you're all looking at it and thinking, boy, am I going to eat the same things? Are there different foods in my neighborhood that are being grown? Because I understand it's really wise to eat what is grown in your environment. It's better for your own body to eat the fruits and vegetables and beef or meats that are in your own environment. So I'm thrilled to say we have shrimp season coming on soon, and we'll all be able to eat a lot more shrimp, which happens to be the highest in the cholesterol, so you have to temper that a little bit. But I love shrimp, and I love flounder, and the seafood just abounds here, so we're fortunate. This is the season when we really get into wonderful seafood. So prepare for the beach. If you want to go on the beach, we have the beach here, and it's a natural thing to go on great walks. People go on diets. They want to be able to put on their bikinis or a nice bathing suit. And Stella, I know you're going to go off to your wonderful Croatian beaches again on us this summer. So I know that everybody starts to think of those things. Consider, where are the farmers markets? Have they been idle during the winter, or have they been reduced and now they're perking up? Go to the farmers markets, buy your local food, eat those really great beef tomatoes and and basil, and get yourself some really good cheese and have a wonderful salad. Put some balsamic vinegar on it. I mean, it's just so wonderful, and eat it outside. You know, if you don't even have a patio or a natural place to go outside, then go to a local park. Take a picnic and go to the park. It really is fun, and it'll make you feel like you're engaging in the world and people around you. So that was a lot to say. After I was talking about hibernating and coming out, we don't just come out of our bodies. We also start to think of new ideas. And is there something that we dreamed of doing we haven't even started to do? Or if a new idea comes to us, can we fit it into our everyday lives? You can. You just have to plan it. And so this is the way I plan. I think, gosh, I've been going nonstop from 6 to 9 every day. Where is the time for me? And so you plan in an appointment. You plan in an appointment to go see Rebecca, and she helps me with my sugar. And then you plan in a walk with a friend. If you don't want to spend money, you go to the food day at the museum because they all offer them. Or you go, you just do something. Get yourself out among people, feel them, plan it. But you also plan to take care of your ideas. So like us, we all three love this radio show, and we barely talk to each other in between, except for our planning, and make that time. We will make the time in our busy schedules to be online with each other to plan on this program. And it feeds us. All three of us are fed by it. We love it. So you can plan it. If you really want to spend some time meditating, then wake yourself up 5 minutes or 10 minutes before you normally will get out of bed and lie in bed and meditate. Or if you go back to sleep, then sit up and meditate. Just be quiet. Take everything away from your mind and just have an empty mind. Or the look of a night sky, the navy blue night sky with stars in it. It's so peaceful to feel like you're floating in air. So with that thought in mind too, I think I'll just mention that this is a time of change in the planets and the stars. We just passed the equinox, the spring equinox, and that's when the sun shines on the equator. It brings in a new birth, a rebirth and a new life to the whole planet. And so Mother Earth wakes up and says, all right, I'm ready to support you again. What do you want me to do? And so be kind to Mother Earth. Recognize what she's offering us, and to pick up something if somebody has littered on the street. Just think of Mother Earth as you go through your day. And I won't go into some of the cultural things right now, but Stella, maybe you have some things to offer, and we'll keep talking, but I have a number of cultural ideas to add about this time in our lives and what this means to us as we go into the spring and summer.
So, all interesting that I hear from you from the psychological point, Rebecca, from the rejuvenation of our intellect and mind and rejuvenation of our body, that is so appropriate for the spring. Because we, as a human being that are functioning on this earth on the cellular level, we must be on some way exposed, and I cannot pinpoint exactly what exactly happening in that universe in which we as a earth are some circle, some globe that is circulating, that is circling around itself and around the sun, and how that exactly position of the sun that we call the spring, how is exactly what changes on the cellular level of the mind, cellular level of the body, and spiritual level affecting the people, but it is affecting it. So I do believe that like a bud on the beautiful tree that we see in us, this is, I do believe that if we can imagine our cells in the body, as well as the neural cells in our body, like budding tissue that needs to be reopened, Then we need to nourish it by the physical and biological components, by the food, by the water, but we also need to revoke the spiritual awakening of our system. Because if you look at the world overall, what is happening on the political, economical, social, anthropological field, we do see that the world is suffering from the injustice, suffering of the useless death of the human being, that human beings suffering in the inner themselves to find and the search for the meaning of the life, for the merit of the life. This is where spring is coming. Spring is a hope of the new life. This is what our spirit also during the spring is suffering. It's a questioning the meaning of our existence. It's a questioning of we are overcome with the two thoughts. Are we going to look toward the goodness, or are we going to focus on our problem who are bringing us down? So for our listeners, for all of us, of the people good, of the goodwill, the really you are in the power of your thoughts. You are in the power of how you are going to nourish your thoughts in every moment of your life. And it's not easy, it's a training. It's like you decide and schedule your day to clean your clutters around yourself, and on that way bringing the less stress and then better sleep. Or if you are going to drink a lot of water and decide to look through whole day, through week, through the month to make a positive changes in your habits. It's the same with the spiritual thinking process that needs to take the part, because what we are missing, we're missing a will. Everybody has a tendency and intention to an aspiration to improve themselves, every single human being. I'm doubting that anybody wants to stay sick or unaccomplished or unsuccessful or whatever. But how to pull that will from inside of the human being to be able to do the steps physically and spiritually in its own life. It's a training, like a exercise for the body, exercise for the spirit needs to be revoked. How we do that? We revoking goodness. We try to bring the goodness toward us, toward yourself. That's the 0 point. If you are not good to yourself, if you are not nourish yourself, if you are not taking care of yourself, if you are not reading the material who will improve you, if you are not pray, if you are not meditating, if you are not saying, God, please come into my heart, then you do not love yourself strong enough to send that love toward other people, to send that love toward the world, to try to make this place a better place. It's a training, it's a technique that every morning first, and I will repeat that again, remember what the small baby is doing the first things when small baby is wake up. You who have baby, you remember that first things, this one, small one, is stretching and smiling to mama, isn't it? It's a smile, it's a stretching the body and smiling to the world, smiling to the mother, smiling full of optimism. When they are hungry, they cry, so then body is requesting to be fed properly, to be exercises properly, to enjoy the life properly. So the first things that I will recommend to you people who are willing during this springtime to adjust yourself for the better yourself is to stretch yourself and have that picture. This is Rebecca work. This is what Rebecca invoked in me, is the vision. It's visualize yourself smiling and healthy. You will tell me that you have a situation in your life for which you cannot smile. Divorce, sickness of the parents, job dissatisfaction. But I will just tell you one thing. Those are your thinking process. You can choose even in those situations how to approach it. And I'm strongly recommending to approach that as a life. And a life has a positive and a negative occurrences. But you are in the control of your spirit, of your thinking, with the basic wording that you need to learn. What is the trigger for you to stretch, to smile as a baby? For me personally, because I have a good friend in the heaven and on the earth, and it's a Christ. So I just often says, when those black thoughts comes to my mind, I just says, dear Jesus Christ, be with me. Let my heart be like your heart. So on that way, I am gaining the power of the happiness, of the holiness, of the love toward myself, of the seeing the goodness in the worst situation possible in which human being can find themselves, in order to build ourselves to the level that we are walking, talking hope, that we are walking, talking example of the loving others, loving us, in order to make this world the place that is intended to be, and it's a paradise. So it is dual personality that we have in each of us, good and bad. So I do believe that I gave you some tools that focus your soul, focus your mind, focus your being. Even if you fail 10 times a day, 11 times you decide what is the best for you and how your next 10 minutes will be spent. So when Becca says gazing with the eyes in the sun, I am calling you to gaze your soul toward the ultimate goodness, toward the ultimate, how you pronounce American? Ultimate betterness of our society. So I wish you that when you go outside today and when you see the people who are just a passenger next to you, just to greet them and say hello, how is your day? I do have my fourth daughter. The other day we went to the Charlotte big volleyball tournament. It was mess, so many people, but it was something very interesting that I learned from my child. We were in the full elevator, full of the strange people, with the awkward silence. How many times you had that? So that child of mine just suddenly look at everybody, says, how is everybody then? And we automatically start to giggle and laugh and talk and just to make that space in our soul more comfortable. So when you are making the space on your table, in your closet, in your working environment to achieve what Rebecca was saying, that calmness and achievement, feeling of achievement, then I also telling you, clean your soul of the trash around. Because they get stuck with all kind of the pulling down things. So as we spoke multiple times, put yourself above and wait for everybody else to come that needs to be come. Do not go down. Do not engage in talking badly about the people. If you cannot solve the situation with that person, then you accept it. Solve the issue in yourself. Forgiveness is exceptionally important. I will definitely tell you, if you do not forgive the person or situation or environment or politicians, if then that negative thoughts about that one will drag you down in your achievement, that you have a will enough will to approve your life and the life of your surrendering toward the better. So my strong recommendation would be to all of you, wherever you are in your life right now, to find and decide to forgive. And every time when that person passes next to your life, or from the situation of the object that is reminding you on the negative experience to that person, it's not object, it's your thought that you are carrying toward that person that is keeping you down. If you can remind yourself that you forgive that person, that you understand that that person is the same as you, full of the fault. But ultimately, majority of the people want to do better, but they are not aware how to do so to themselves and to the world. Then you are on the path of the healing. That object actually doesn't, and it's not going to mean anything to you, because your thoughts are stronger of any object that you may be surrounded with.
I think that's a great idea. I mean, those are such good words, Stella. I mean, they really are good words. And I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to actually make some comments about that, because on this show, we always talk about how our words and our thoughts manifest. And particularly in the spring, when we have an opportunity to have changes in our lives and to help others too, it's a really valuable thing. And so, Rebecca, I'm just going to take a minute and talk about what happens around the world at this time too, the cultures. And you mentioned that, Rebecca, the cultures all around the world celebrate spring differently. And they have healing practices that are also celebratory, from the Buddhist to the Hindu, to including the most ancient healing practices of Ayurvedic medicine, and being involved with the earth, to actually, I found, Stella, there are like 7 Slavic peoples who work with pagan rituals because they were here. It's all about nature and the earth. They were here well before Christianity came to the earth. And at the same time, we have the rituals of Easter and Passover. We also have all of these rebirthing rituals around the earth. So, for instance, in the Native American cultures out west, I know they have large gatherings called powwows, and they sing and they dance and they celebrate nature. And I've been in a powwow where people just sing and dance for hours, and the energy is enormous what they do. And you can feel this palpable energy they put out and that they share, the dancer and the singer and all the people around. And they sit for hours and they eat and drink and they celebrate, and it's joyous. And so in that time, they're also an example of doing really positive, loving things. They put aside the negative. They live in the positive. They look for the good in people and the good in the earth and live with that. So actually, I want to tell you about a ritual that I heard about, and I wanted to also just say at this time in the cycle of a year, rituals are very important, and we see that in multiple religions. But Africa, the Hebrew tribe, and I may have mentioned this before, but there's a wonderful ritual they use. They respect where they live very much. So wherever you are, where you're carrying your day's work, when you return to your home, they stop outside their door and they deposit anything that concerns them or any burdens from the day into actually a pot of flowers or into a bush or even into the grass, wherever they have something alive, something that is living and breathing. So it's not into an inanimate object, it's definitely into something alive. And they say hello to the house, like, hello house, I'm home and I had a great day and I'm going to leave this subject and that subject and everything outside. So when I enter, we're going to be at peace. So it's not, it is a wonderful way of recognizing if you're carrying something on your shoulders and you're feeling burdened from your day, you can leave it somewhere. You'll pick it up when you need to, but you can leave it outside and you can protect where you're living, come in your own environment with that joyousness to just be a different person and be that positive, loving person who can connect with yourself and with your spiritual practice and love those around you. So, Rebecca, I took your turn, but
no, it was really. I love that. Saying hello to your house.
Yeah,
people do the same thing with their cars. They talk to their cars like they're.
I do.
Yeah, love your chair on which you are sitting.
That's right. No, it's a really valuable thing. I have two poems that I found that I thought were really great. This writer who's from India, someone sent me a book of her work, and it's just really touching. And then I went online to just find some poetry about spring, and she popped up. So I might read it if you'll let me. Is that all right?
Absolutely.
Very simply, she says, "Rise," said the moon, and the new day came. It's so simple. Rise, said the moon, and the new day came. If you could even just greet your day every day with a smile, you'll get out of bed in a different humor. So then I thought this was interesting. L.R. Nost, and I hadn't heard of her either. It's a woman. Just when the darkness became too much to bear, and the struggle too hard, the light broke through, and the caterpillar emerged, a butterfly, delicate but unbroken, wild and gentle, finally free to spread its loving wings, fly ahead on the wind. You know, it's really wonderful to think it is a time when the butterflies come, we see them, and we do have that ability to fly into something new, and it's very nurturing.
Poetry is a beautiful thing. They are really something that those are gifted people who can summarize everything that we are feeling or thinking in such a simple sentences. So when dark is there, have a sun broken in and rise. Beautiful. I love poetry. I'm so sorry that I don't have a poetry. I was writing some haiku in my early time, and I was not understood. A couple of my friends.
Well, maybe you could start and write some haikus again, Stella. That would be fun.
I hope that talent. I do feel that something brewing in my soul.
Oh, good.
And I do putting a couple of things regarding nutrition, regarding difficult topics in the human development on the paper. Who knows? Maybe I will put finally something that I think it's brewing in me on the paper.
So, you know, when you said that, I had been reading about Chinese medicine. They're so good at going deeply into our bodies, looking at about up to 12 pulses in our tongues and seeing where our toxins are. They believe that the liver is where things die in one life and come to birth in another, and it's where the essence of our being is. So at this time, if you are at any doctor or practitioner who says your liver looks weak, focus on your liver, give it some attention, feed it, detox it, cleanse it, give yourself something that will support it. Do either of you have suggestions of ways to support the liver?
Yes. The liver is in Western medicine, the liver and kidneys are two organs who are actually cleaning the body from the trash and sending to the body certain healing material on many levels. So they were right on their poetic way. Western medicine is supporting that thoughts as an importance. Liver needs to be taken care of on the two ways. Watch up on the medication who are liver offensives, be aware of them. Watch up on the food that it's consumed in the United States and over the world, like a fried food and high carbo food. They are terrible for the liver. Watch up on the pesticide and do not eat any packed food because they are full of the things that body doesn't know what to do primordially with them and store them through the liver, damaging the liver and capacity of liver to clean. So practically 60 to 70% of all food that you see on the shelves that are pre-packed, frozen in conservants, you are not supposed to really eat them at all. You need to cook and watch up what you're eating if you really want your liver to function. When your liver is damaged, could be damaged from autoimmunological process that we do not know how to address. But if it's a poison from the medicine, get rid of them. If it's poison from the food, get rid of the food that I just mentioned to you. If this is like a viral damage or a cholesterol damage, then you do have a Indian plant. It's called noni, Noni, that is actually fantastic remedy that people with hepatitis C, B, or A it's showing up tremendous help. There is no clinical research trial that me as a doctor can says you need to use that like for the rest of the medication. But my patient and people one-on-one, we call that in medicine, are showing the laboratory and clinical improvement on noni. Indian plant, I found it that is you can purchase it $30 every morning, very sour taste, first things in the morning to take care of that. Then there is two type of the tea, Denderlon tea. Dandelion tea is a powerful cleaner for the liver. Asparagus and artichoke, powerful cleaner for the kidney. You will see that your urine gets green. But yes, I start to drink quite a bit of the tea with raw honey in my life, and I feel great.
Oh, that's great advice. My goodness, that's super. I see that we're getting really close to the end, and I wanted to give you a list that Abigail Brenner, who is the psychiatrist, put online for ideas of things you might do in the spring. And it actually includes everything that we mentioned, maybe a little more. It's to declutter your living space. So Rebecca started that right away, spring cleaning. To clear your mental and emotional clutter, which you also mentioned, Rebecca, and Stella, you too. It says start a practice. So if you don't have a practice about being mindful or spiritual or giving yourself some time to meditate, then start that practice. That's what you were talking about, Stella. Begin something new. So, we don't always think about that. We think, well, I'll be new about something I already do. But this says begin something new. If you have something you wanted to do and you haven't started it, start it. Spend time outdoors. And then it says take a trip, which I love. So even if it means you ride a half an hour up the road to go on a walk, that's a trip. It changes what you're doing in your day. And others may say, no, I want to take a road trip 5 hours from here, Stella, like you've been doing up to Charlotte, or 4 hours. Or go to Mexico with Rebecca on a yoga retreat. Do something fun that sort of changes your whole vista and the way that you live. And then the last thing she wrote was to simplify your life. We get very packed in our schedules and we don't have minutes for ourselves. And we can do that. We can actually manage that. So be conscious of it. Be in the present and be conscious of it. Ladies, do you have other thoughts for the last 2 minutes?
I would just say that to focus on spring cleaning your mindset, your thoughts, your beliefs. I know this time of year, even with maybe Mercury retrograde, a lot of people are stressed about money, stressed about their weight, whether you had seasonal affective disorder or too many holiday treats. So one thing is, if there's a thought or belief that is holding you back and you feel stuck, it's to really take inventory of how many of your thoughts and beliefs support you in having more energy and being healthier and being more at peace. And how many of those thoughts and beliefs are keeping you stuck in feelings of unhappiness or struggle. And, sometimes the thing is if you don't know the solution, to just believe there is a solution. I think a lot of people say, well, I'm stuck in this situation and I don't know, there's no way out of it. And it's just believe that there is a way out of it. You don't know what it is yet, and you can move forward with that.
That's a great ending. Thank you, Rebecca. All right, well, we'll see everybody next month on Wednesday, the second Wednesday. And thank you. Good luck with everything. Stella, with your family far away. And you too, Rebecca. We'll be in touch.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Simplify.
Yeah, simplify. Bye. Happy spring.